Excellent.
First of all, I would like to very, very warmly welcome Prime Minister David Cameron on his first official visit to Malaysia. And we just had a very productive, fruitful bilateral discussions in which we covered 5 important areas, namely political and diplomatic relations, trade and investment, education and training, science, technology, environment, defense and security.
Malaysia is now a real economic heavyweight and influential actor in the region, in the Commonwealth and beyond, and you are playing a vital part in driving that progress, most notably with your vision of a global movement of moderates that is the right response, in my view, to the extremism and the violence that has blighted so many lives around the world. The era of benign neglect is over. Britain is back to do business with Malaysia, back to build our partnership on vital global issues. I think Malaysia can lead because, again, like Indonesia, you're a Muslim majority country, a country, though, of moderate, sensible, democratic politics, and a country with economic success. Let me be clear, I'm not saying you can't have successful multiracial countries. You can. Britain is a very successful multiracial country. But what I'm saying, and what Prime Minister Najib is saying, is the way you create a successful multiracial country.
That is why the movement of the moderates is so important, because underpinning the fight against global terrorism. And by the way, I'm against the idea, this notion of calling it a war against global terrorism, because a war connotes just using military might.
And I assure you, my dear brothers and sisters, when you talk to parliamentarians across the world, and particularly in those countries where our community is tried and tested and is put through great tribulations, the fact that our Khalifa, Hazur, beloved Hazur, continues to guide us, that, O ye who oppress us, we seek only to pray for you and pray for your guidance. That is the sign of a true, living, God-fearing community, and the Jamaat Ahmadiyah is just that. Hazur, finally, I would like to, on behalf of Her Majesty's government and indeed the Prime Minister, present his words to the Jalsa Salana on this august occasion. And the Prime Minister asked me to convey the following sentiments. He sends his kind regards on behalf of Her Majesty's government to His Holiness Hazrat Mirza Masroor Ahmad and to all attendees of the 46th Jalsa Salana of the Ahmadiyya Muslim Community United Kingdom, and wishes to extend a warm Assalamu alaikum to all attendees. The Ahmadiyya community, he writes, is an excellent example of how faith communities make positive contributions and play an active role in enriching our wider society. He talks about our work of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community in ensuring that Islam, when it is scrutinized, presenting it as a message of peace. And he also writes that in this, the year of Her Majesty's Diamond Jubilee, the thousands of pounds you have raised for UK charities through your fundraising efforts are of particular note. He also says, I would like to make special reference to the letter I received from Your Holiness and express my support to the sentiments he expressed of the need for all nations of the world to play their part towards creating a peaceful world and a positive legacy for our future generations. My best wishes to you all for a successful convention. The Right Honourable Prime Minister of Great Britain, David Cameron.
Hazur, the Deputy Prime Minister, Nick Clegg, is not able to be with us today, but he has sent a video message to the Jalsa Salana proceedings, and I'd request MTA to kindly please play it.
I'm sorry that I can't be with you today for your Jalsa, but I wanted to convey my best wishes for the event. I also want to take this opportunity to thank the Ahmadiyya Muslim community for its tireless efforts to promote peace here at home and around the world. You have raised a hugely impressive £350,000 for British charities too during the Diamond Jubilee celebrations. And the message you spread, love for all, hatred for none, is one every community can learn from. I had the honour of meeting His Holiness Hadrat Mirza Masroor Ahmad a few years ago in the House of Commons, a man of great wisdom and kindness.
And I know that under his leadership, Ahmadi Muslims have helped people in need right across the planet, from feeding the homeless in London to building schools and hospitals right across the developing world. All voluntary, all funded by the community itself, all truly remarkable. I know despite all its good work, the Ahmadiyya Muslim community suffers persecution in some countries where you are denied your right to practice your faith and where your members are killed simply on grounds of faith. And I assure you that we Liberals stand by you in condemning such persecution, and we call for the upholding of human rights for all. I know that you work closely with some of my Liberal Democrat colleagues, Ed Davey, Lord Avebury, Baroness Ludford, Tom Brake, Paul Burstow, to name just a few. There are a great many values we share. Like you, Liberals have long stood against hate and extremism, championing tolerance and freedom, and of course equal rights. And I very much hope that in advancing our shared values, we can continue to work hand in glove. So again, let me wish you well for your convention and for the future too. To all 30,000 attendees and the millions more watching via satellite television, I wish you Jalsa Mubarak.
It is my fear that in view of the direction in which things are moving, today the political and economic dynamics of the countries of the world may lead to a world war. Therefore, it is the duty of the superpowers to sit down and find a solution to save humanity from the brink of disaster.
You understand at a profound level that promoting religious freedom is an essential building block for peace and stability here and throughout the world. In this we are allied with His Holiness, a courageous champion of religious freedom and of peace.
Allah ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lahu.
Hazrat Mirza Masroor Ahmad is the present head of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community, the most dynamic international community within Islam. The community was established by Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad in Qadian, a small and remote village in India. He claimed to be the expected reformer of the latter days, the one awaited by all major world religions. Within a century, the movement has reached all the corners of the earth and has been recognized and praised by the global community.
The huge respect we all have, for your work day by day in making a reality of peace and brotherhood across the communities in this country and across the world.
Wherever the movement has been established, it endeavors to exert a constructive influence of Islam through social projects, educational institutes, health services, Islamic publications, and the construction of mosques. These endeavors continue, despite the bitter persecution that the community suffers in some countries.
We need all the goodness we can find in today's world.
Britain has welcomed the headquarters of the Ahmadis in this country, but it hasn't become something that's become, as it were, a closed sect in Britain. It's become a community that has sought to reach out to all of us. And that's very important, because the best way to break down the barriers of misunderstanding and prejudice is for that contact to happen, and I thank you for that.
Is the contribution that you make to wider society and the important charitable causes that you support, not just for your own communities, but for the wider communities. And that is to be acclaimed and that is to be applauded.
I have personally experienced and heard that you have raised tens of thousands of pounds on sponsored walks for children, older people and people with disabilities. And most significantly of all, you have not distinguished between faiths, ethnicities or communities. Africa, India, Bosnia and Indonesia, amongst other places, your community here too have an extraordinary reputation.
The community was created under divine guidance, with the objective to rejuvenate Islamic moral and spiritual values. It encourages interfaith dialogue, diligently defending Islam and attempting to correct misunderstandings about the religion in the West.
I very much welcome this opportunity of paying tribute to the wonderful work which has been done by the Ahmadiyya community towards building bridges between the different communities in our country, between different ethnic, linguistic, and religious groups up and down the country.
Most have incorrectly interpreted Islam as endorsing violence and terrorism. The Ahmadiyya community has always demonstrated the spirit of tolerance, goodwill, and true brotherhood. It advocates peace, love, and understanding among followers of different faiths. It firmly believes in and acts upon Quranic teachings. It strongly rejects violence and terrorism in any form and for any reason.
Your interpretation of jihad has always been in stark contrast to the extremist imams that we all deplore.
We especially applaud His Holiness for denouncing those who pervert faith by claiming it as a justification for violence. However we define God, it is wrong to kill in His name.
We acknowledge and celebrate your commitment to peaceful dialogue with people from other faiths, and we acknowledge the very good work that you do within our communities.
But the Ahmadi community has a very special place in my affection because of its commitment to peace and to justice based on love for all and hatred for none. So continue to reach out to your fellow citizens wherever you may be living, wherever you may be worshipping, for in truth that is the way in which a harmonious society, a tolerant society, a loving and creative society can be built here in Glasgow, here in Britain, here in Scotland, and throughout the world.
That unless there are people in all sorts of different communities and all sorts of belief systems who fundamentally want peace and are willing to talk about it, then we're never going to get anywhere towards the kind of society that I believe that most people would like to live in.
Let us make a resolution. Let us make this resolution to promote the message of peace and brotherhood, that people of different religions should not quarrel and fight with each other, but should accept and tolerate and live together in that spirit of brotherhood and peace, which is the essence of your religion.